Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
Grand Rising.
How's everybody doing today?
Very good. Good afternoon from Germany.
I'm going to mute everybody's mic back on this end, start the music, and we'll get started.
That sounded right in DJ's eyes.
I have come here to chew bubblegum.
You're listening to Here To Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
It was a screen share.
Greetings.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's up, flockers?
DirtyDan, episode 67. We have some very special guests that you've booked, and thank you very much for doing that. Will you please introduce everyone?
Well, currently we have the Wicked Wolf, aka Auron, or Aaron as you like to say. He is back with us again. We have none other than DJ Nicke the second himself back with us again for his third time on the show. A wonderful guest to always have. Thank you, DJ. He's across the pond.
Just across here in Germany. It's lovely sunny day, which is unusual here.
Yeah.
Well, it was 65 the other day until they started fucking with the weather, and now it's snowing. So,
Same thing. It was 45 for the past 3 days, and now it's 18.
Yeah. Tell me they're fucking with the weather without telling me they're fucking with the weather.
We don't have any snow back where I'm at, but it was like, I think, 31 when I came in the studio this morning.
It was 23 here.
Well, you can keep the snow that way, your friend.
I'm okay with that.
DJ, have you got much snow this year in Germany?
No, surprisingly little. I think it only snowed 1 or 2 days where it actually stayed on the ground. So, normally you have a white Christmas, but we didn't have a white Christmas. We didn't have any Christmas. Christmas was canceled this year. There's normally like a big town Christmas market every year, and for 2 years in a row now it's been canceled. So,
Thanks, Pumpernickel.
for your safety.
I'm so glad that you say pumpernickel now. It warms my heart. That's what I call this whole thing. It's the pumpernickel.
Yeah, I don't like saying the C word anymore.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. Thanks.
No, we're talking about the pandemic.
Yeah, no, we call COVID pumpernickel. It's our code word for it. Merkel's a fucking psycho, though.
Yeah, and unfortunately, overnight we had a string of events where one started due to another conflict with scheduling, and then this morning discussing that, 2 more came in, and we're waiting for Dr. Zelenko to come in. So hopefully.
Yeah, this is the welcome to the flying by the seat of our pants episode.
And we could have a friend of mine joining us. I messaged him earlier this morning. Let me look. He is still not read it. So if not, we will in the future. But DJ, welcome back. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on since the last time you've been on.
Well, I'm super excited. And actually, this is the first time we're publicly announcing the fact that Carbon Capture Shield has submitted for the X Prize carbon removal. So we worked our tails off. The submission was February 1st. And now already in April, we will learn if we're one of 15 teams who will get a $1 million prize for our work to sequester carbon out of the atmosphere. So I'm super excited about that. And I'd love to talk about that later in the show. But we did it, and you guys are the first to know. So thanks for having us.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. And and I've said this before, the world needs more people like you in it, that actually are doing things, that are taking the initiative to help people, to make the world a better place. We need more people like you.
No, thank you. Like all of us, I think there's a lot of people like us, but we tend to be isolated, singled out, targeted, and knocked off the map. So I think it's great that we can come together now and support each other, so we're not as easily divided and then conquered.
Well, and I think off that point too, and I know, and Auron, you can probably relate to this as well. Wolf, Auron, I don't know what to call you publicly.
Aaron.
So it's not Aaron. God, please don't say that fucking name. So, and as far as, God damn it, now I lost my fucking. It was about dividing and like silencing us. And I know, Wicked Wolf, you've experienced this as well. Like, I'm on account 17 on TikTok. And I think what's happening is, to your point that, there's so many of us out there, is that we're all like bouncing this confidence off of each other to talk about these things, to bring this to public knowledge, to know that we're not alone, to know that there's other people. And, oh shit, like I thought I was alone on this, and somebody else is aligned in the same things that I am. And we're all, exactly coming together, and fuck the haters, fuck them trying to stop us. We're not going to.
If you have haters, you're doing it wrong.
The majority of us have experienced it in some way over the years, like DJ OG getting banned from the Bookface platform, and
the Bookface,
that's what I call it. Or
book your face,
whatever it's called now. And
made a face. Did you call it made a face?
Yeah. Isn't that what it is? Meta?
No, it's meta, but whatever. Okay, we'll go with it.
I also say radiator. Get
made a face now.
And then, I experienced it just for having an emissions cheating car, which was better for the environment, but not visually appealing.
Well, it was also not, making them money, because you're getting 69 miles to the gallon?
65.
Yeah, it's semantics. Semantics.
What is a couple of years ago, I read about there's like a whole subculture in Japan, and these computer hackers figured out how to hack the onboard computer system of newer cars, and they can set like the fuel to gas ratio, and they were getting hundreds of miles to the tank. Like, what?
There's also cars that can run fully on fucking water, but that guy disappeared.
Oh yeah, well, they
he was actually poisoned.
I just watched the documentary on that. He was eating a meal with his investors and his brother, and like literally, he was like, "They poisoned me," and then fell down dead.
Yeah.
And I think that actually happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, maybe.
I think
it's close to us. Yeah.
Yes.
And what's that?
What's up, Nez?
Was it? I think it was the town called Cedarville.
Yes. It's close to Cincinnati. And
they were at Ruth Chris's, I think, and having a meal, and just, oh man, I think I've been poisoned. Facing food, like out of a straight bad movie.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that we were talking before we jumped on about the overall idea of like where we could be and where we are is super frustrating. And I think that's a great reason, and the main reason why we're all coming together through technology, because like that water car guy, I want to say that was in like the early 90s, right? So like we didn't have the ability to freely communicate with everybody else. The Clinton, oh Jesus!
The Clintons were cool from Kitchen.
So I just have to give a shout out real quick to Kitchen Mortician here. Like every live, like it's just she doesn't say anything, and then all of a sudden she'll just drop a bomb right off the bat, and it's always entertaining.
Awesome.
Speaking of where we could be versus where we are, and having some backgrounds, DJ, what is your take, since we're flying by the seat of our pants here, with this whole relying on private companies to get us back to space since NASA lost its technology?
I mean,
since you had the family background on that, what is your
Auron and I are like,
well, I mean, what choice do we have really? So do you trust corporations more than the government? I don't know. At least they have to file taxes and disclose investors and things like that. So I'm not comfortable with it, but what choice do we have at this point? And part of the reason why I started Carbon Capture Shield was I really dislike corporations because they are legally, they're living entities. They're a corporation, which means a body, which means that they have all the rights of a living entity, but they don't have a conscience. They're driven by the board of directors, and typically the way that our laws are set up, the board of directors' goal is to make maximum profit. It's not to make maximum positive impact, whereas a living person recognizes that I am because of you, whereas a corporation is I want to rule you. I want to be the biggest and the best. So I think it's a flawed concept, but it's good enough for now because NASA wasn't doing anything. And our government space agencies weren't doing anything. And honestly, it looks like we've had more progress since SpaceX has been on the scene than we have had in the last 40 years. So I question Elon Musk, but I trust what he's doing. Seems good so far. And, we're talking about like they could censor the trucker movements or any of these movements at any time by shutting down cell towers. But now Starlink is just one more means of connection where we can get the word out and show what's actually happening. And that's part of like what we developed also our pitch for the X Prize is we're setting up farms in like rural Africa where we give them solar power and Starlink internet access. So boom, now we put them on the map and they've got power, they've got internet connection, now they can talk to the world. So now we know what's actually happening from people on the ground. And that's the power. That's what Steve Jobs always used to liken a computer to the human mind on a bicycle. He said they did this study where they analyzed the efficiency of locomotion of different animals. And the most efficient animal was like a crane or a bird of some sort. And the most inefficient animal was a human walking. Whereas once you put a human on a bicycle, it becomes even more efficient than the most efficient bird. And he said humans have the ability to innovate ways to make themselves more efficient. And he said a computer can become like a bicycle for the mind and creativity. And I think that's what we've got now. So they really did give it to us. And it's just up to us are we going to take ownership of it and take responsibility for it? Or are we going to say, no, you be responsible for that government or corporation, and we'll just take what you give us. And so I think, I think we're seeing a great awakening of people actually realizing that we have to take responsibility for it ourselves. And if we're not involved, then we don't have a right to object to whatever happens to us.
And something I've noticed since the first time you've been on the show, and you used the word awakening, the media and some other people are starting to paint that in a bad light. Saying that,
So the way that I understand it is there's a difference between being awake and being woke.
Yes.
Like woke is like fake woke, right? Like you think you're doing all these things, but you're supporting
fighting for trans rights in Siberia.
Right, like you're supporting the thing that you're trying to stand against. Like you don't fully understand the big picture. So yes, Goose, it's the woke versus the awake.
Yeah. And that lets me know that we're gaining momentum and getting the word out more. And I'm not talking about just this show. I'm talking about everyone, that are on the same page, because they're trying to paint us in a bad light. Mm-hmm. And when you have people scared and you have them intimidated, they want to throw dirt at you, so to speak.
Good thing I'm dirty.
Literally.
DirtyDan's not worried. I just want to touch on something DJ said. I think Elon Musk is a fucking reptile.
Auron, you and I are on the same page with that.
So here's the thing. I used to really support Elon Musk, and I loved. And then I found out that his fucking story, just like the original story they told about Bill Gates, is complete fucking bullshit. Like when Bill Gates was coming up as a young kid, they were like, "Oh, he's this young kid. He's a computer innovator. He, came from nothing. Blah 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 blah." No, his dad and his grandfather were the fucking lawyers for the Rockefellers. His mother was the head of like Sears Roebuck or some other huge corporation from that time period, and everything he did was paid. Same thing about Elon Musk. Daddy owns an emerald mine in South Africa.
I've never
and
heard
every single. No, not from nothing, but they say that like he built that. He didn't build anything. He bought his way into every single CEO position that he's ever been in. and his IQ has never been tested. So when people are like, "Oh, he's a fucking genius," yeah, okay. I have friends who could make a better CGI version of a car in outer space. Like, I'm sorry. And did nobody watch Terminator? Did nobody watch Starlink? Sounds like Skynet. Just saying.
Yeah, but just because these dangers exist doesn't mean we shouldn't move
Oh,
forward.
no, I agree. I'm just saying I don't trust him as much as the general public does. Because if the reality of it is if he was someone like us, right? If he was on the same level like we were, what could any one of us do with the billions of dollars that he has access to? What has he actually done for humanity, right? Everybody associates him with Tesla, and Tesla is a garbage concept that spends more money with African slave children mining lithium out of the ground with their bare fucking hands. And guess what? When you charge your electric car, you're burning fucking coal. So it's all a complete made up farce, and it makes everybody just feel good about themselves. Like, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
The general public, yeah, they don't understand all the shit behind the scenes for the electric cars. They don't. And that's one of the car guys I follow and I've met before. He took a Tesla and he put a hitch on it, and he got a big diesel generator to tow with him on race week so he could charge his vehicle. And people are like, "What are you doing? That's so bad for the environment." He looks at me and goes, "Stupid. Where do you think the electric comes from when you plug in?"
Yeah,
but
the electricity in your house too. Like
the thing that I respect most about Elon though is that when the Cybertruck was coming out, or that whole spiel was coming out for the Cybertruck, they're like, "Oh, it's gonna have all this technology. You know, we're gonna be out of jobs. It's gonna be only Tesla people that fix it." He said, "I'm using industry standard equipment as to not displace jobs, so that my things can be repaired just like everyone else and blend in."
That's fair. And I'm not saying that he's not doing good. I'm just saying that, like, I think he's a little bit more made up and fluffed up, you know, than people would want him to believe. Like, he's not the hero of the people, and he's not really doing anything that's fucking great as far as I'm concerned. Like,
I mean, he filled in for Trump on Twitter too. So
go ahead, DJ. Go ahead,
if I can counter that, because I agree. I say don't trust him. Don't trust anyone, and always keep your eye on them. Because as the kitchen mortician said, where was it? I'll just scroll up.
Right here. I got it. I got you.
Anyone who has that much power can go bad at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And even the devil.
Oh, right here. There it is. I got you.
And
I got it.
Right. Yeah.
So I agree with that. So we should keep our eye on them. But at the same time, I do see huge value, because no one was talking about electric cars seriously until Elon Musk built Tesla. And they were laughing at him for the first 10 years as well, until he finally broke through. No one was thinking of creating a private company to go to space. And all those who tried failed. And everyone laughed at Elon until he finally succeeded. And so I think I agree. If Elon Musk was like us, he would be able to do a lot more, but he also wouldn't have made it to where he is. He is who he is, and he's the perfect person for this role. And the way I view it, even if all of his history is wrong, and I've thought about this too, because I've read and been inspired by the Ashley Vance Elon Musk biography, just like the Walt Disney one, and just like I was inspired by Bill Gates back in the day. And I think the stories we tell ourselves are important, because they guide what we believe we're capable of and what we believe is possible. And so I choose to believe the story of Elon Musk because it inspires me to be all that I can be. And that's as far as I take it. If it turns out that he was actually a bad person, that's fine, because all of that I was inspired to do, that's real.
Oh, absolutely. I love that.
Created is real. And for instance, he's working, and it's not so much that the lithium is bad, but it's also the cobalt in the batteries is the biggest thing that's mined by children in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And he's already developing a battery with no cobalt in it. And he's working on eradicating lithium as well. And his thesis in college was actually on supercapacitors. So I know he's heading in the right direction, but he knows that you have to start where you're at, and then figure out what's the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. So I'm willing to delay my doubt, and I see the problems, but I'm willing to still support him for now. But at any time, I'm willing to jettison. Same thing with Trump. You know, like, I don't trust anyone 100%, and we shouldn't. That's how we got into this mess. So keep that skepticism, but don't let it paralyze you from supporting momentum that could be moving in a good direction. That's what I would say.
No, I think that opinion is fantastic, and I guess it wouldn't. For me, it's not like I've been a skeptic and a bitter, jaded asshole most of my life. So like I've never been inspired by other people and what they do. Like I've always been inspired by the information that I find. And I guess the biggest thing with someone like Elon for me is that, like Becca brought up earlier, right? Like we had a fucking 100% water car 40 fucking years ago, 30 fucking years ago, right? So if I was Elon Musk and I had that kind of money and I had that kind of access, I would be building that shit. But just like I think I forget who said it, talking about, you know, people in power, it's for them at the end of the day, the reason that I don't like or trust him is because I don't think he's doing it for good reasons. I think he's doing it for profit, because if he was doing it for the good of humanity, we'd all already have water cars. We'd be back on. Henry Ford built a fucking indestructible hemp car that ran on corn alcohol in the goddamn 30s, right? So like if people were actually talking about real innovation and doing real evolution for humanity, then we would be using that technology now. We wouldn't be wasting money and earning billions of dollars sending, you know, trying to build those batteries out of lithium and cobalt, because better technology already fucking existed. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that frustrates me. So to me, it's all just a big, you know, it's a big dog and pony show.
I agree.
Doesn't even matter.
Okay, but see, the problem with that statement right there, though, is that you know where we could be. It's all regulations that came from above because of that profit cap. It could be absolutely. It could be right where in our daily personal lives the military isn't in terms of technology, because they're not regulated nearly like us. Everything, all the resources, money gets tied there to advance them as far as they can, to advance everything, to prevent inhibiting. It just, we got capped, they didn't. That's the issue.
And who's to say that Musk is not working on a water car? You know, and I'm just going to play devil advocate here just a minute. What if some of the fluff pieces that have been put out, you know, he didn't put those out? What if people made those up and so forth, put those out?
Yes. See, that's what I'm talking about. When was that?
This is Henry Ford's electric car from 1914. So,
1914.
Thank you. Yeah. That's, I mean, electromagnetism. Like, you don't even need batteries. You just need to properly build electromagnetic capacitors. Like, this is, and Chris, like, to respond to what you said, like, I totally get that, like, you know, you the idea, like, you think that we've been capped, but that's my point, is that with, if it was about profit, you could still be about profit and you could still make a superior long-running product that is completely beneficial. Like, the problem is that if you had a hemp car that like the ones that Henry Ford built, those cars are pretty much indestructible. Like, you could get into an accident and it wouldn't fucking break down, right? And the fuel would be so cheap that it's the need for greed within the corporate world to continue to make bigger, better profits next year. That's the issue. And that's not a market cap. That's a control the slave population mechanism. Because again,
that's what I'm saying. It was the people that were capped, not the market. We were capped.
Okay. I thought you were saying, like, oh, we could only get this far because of, yeah. Okay.
No. We people that come from that ability, like, and to use an example, in my opinion, Musk, where he's not just focusing on one thing. It's, you know, look at the trials and tribulations. He does one thing, gets laughed at, proves everybody wrong, moves on to the next thing, focuses on that while the first child's up and growing, does the same thing with SpaceX, gets laughed at, succeeds. Now, look, he's moving into Starlink and communications. Everybody's saying it's not going to happen. It's not impossible. He's already got 1,000 satellites up there.
Yeah, he also wants to put a chip in the brain.
Yeah, that bothers me too. The whole Neuralink.
So many levels does that creep me the fuck out.
All I can think is Gattaca.
Right. That's what I'm. Oh no. That's how we. It's like nobody saw it. Nobody saw Terminator. Nobody saw The Matrix. Like.
Or Gattaca. But we saw it. But we still have to move forward. And I would much rather someone like Elon Musk be moving forward on this than it be some black project that we don't even get to hear about. Right. And so that's where I'm happy that he exists. And also you have to. So one thing I realized is that when you want to change the existing system, you make enemies out of everyone who benefits from the current system. Because by changing the system, you're going to mess up their profit. Everything they built is going to have to at least change, if not crumble. And so you have to incrementally change the system. And that's what I view Elon Musk is doing. He's not playing for short-term gain. He's changing the course of human civilization, from my perspective. Yeah. And he might still be a bad actor, but I'm willing to jump on board with that and try and support it. I'm the opposite. I'm like, he wants to build markets to go and ruin another planet. I'm like, let's figure out how to fix the planet we're on first and live here regeneratively before we ruin another planet. But
right.
So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna say the thing I've been wanting to say for the last 10 fucking minutes here. So, and it goes off of this comment that just came through. So whose side is he on? So here's my views on Elon. First of all, I am thoroughly convinced and will die on this hill that he is Nikola Tesla's biological son from a fucking petri dish. Okay. Wow. I will die on that hill. Also because where he was born and the time from when they said that they had Nikola Tesla's DNA and then he was born, there's no coincidences, right? But as far as whose side is he on, and this is where I personally stand with Elon Musk. I agree with both of you. I feel that Elon is completely on that fence, and yes, as he is doing stuff to better humanity, he's also playing that other side. He's playing into that greed and that control, and he's playing, with the negative and the evil. But I do believe that he's also trying to the best of his ability. I think that there's just a complete 50-50 split with it, and I don't trust it.
Well, look at what Kristen Mortician just said. She makes a great point. She goes, why is he allowed to do what he's doing, but the
other guy got killed?
Right? So like that's
he is playing both sides, because he does have his foot in that door, right? Keep your enemies closer. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I just don't trust it.
And Stanley Meyer is the guy that invented the water car, the water fuel cell. Wouldn't his investors, they from overseas, from a different country as well?
I don't believe so.
Africa, where Elon was from.
Okay. Oh, you did.
Well, and what the Queen said a little bit earlier, and we've talked about it on the show. It's been a while, but it's highly possible that Elon Musk is a clone of Nikola Tesla, because
I don't think he's a clone. I think it was artificial, and I think they impregnated, right, like a sperm donor.
Because he looks like his mama, but he sure don't look like his daddy.
Well, but there are a lot of similarities there with him, and where he was born at, that place is in the top 5 genetic laboratories in the world, and the time that he was born in.
And he was born within a year of them coming out with the fact that they had Nikola Tesla's DNA.
Right. And you have to look at this.
I believe it was 10 months.
Oh, was it
10 months 10 from months? When it was first announced to when baby Elon was born.
Okay. You have to look at it this way too. Let's say that he is his son or he is a clone, whichever one. Okay. Nikola Tesla died broke and penniless. So if you get a second chance to do something, aren't you going to, even if you started from a rich family, aren't you going to try to do better than you did your last time around?
I mean, and there's no denying that, yes, Elon started off well off. However, that is pennies compared to where he is at now. 1 year he made more than what his family has been worth.
Right, 100%. But same thing with Bill fucking Gates. You know what I mean? Like that's my whole point, is that when you look into the true history of them as individuals, instead of the media fluffed, fucking tickle the public's, mind space, you're looking at, their entire lives were very calculated, and their positions of power were not earned. They were purchased. Purchased. Every single CEO spot that Elon Musk has ever bought his way into with daddy's emerald money.
There's a path though. Like all of the elites, like they go through these certain, like they're directed. They're set. Okay, you're set here. He may have bought into his position 100%, but he was also set up on that course from day one, just like most elites were. Like, we're gonna put you on the road to quick advancement, right? Because you fall into the bloodline category.
Has anybody
the whole conspiracy theory about Angela Merkel being Hitler's daughter? I mean, we can start about that too.
Obama's Hitler's son. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Well, so has anybody here seen the Illuminati card game from the late '80s? With everything, like there's not a fucking single card in that deck of games that we have not hit in the real world. Like,
they have to be. And Auron, you and I know this has already happened. The reason that we're having this conversation, we've already won. We've already won.
Are you talking about Cards Against Humanity?
That's a funny game for people with dirty minds. There's a card game called, I believe it's called Illuminati.
Yeah.
And it's from the late 80s, early 90s.
And it predicts everything, like The Simpsons.
Like, it's a card game like you battle another person, and each card has a different scenario on it. Like a rebel, like one of them's a revolution. One of them's a germ pandemic. One of them is, and each of these cards has a picture. Like there's a picture of the Twin Towers falling, right? There's a picture of a tsunami hitting. Like there's all these different like disasters that manipulate society, and you have to choose which ones to use to win the game. And one of the cards in the game is a Trucker Convoy, and you use the Trucker Convoy card to stop supply lines to starve out the people that you're trying to take over for.
Hold on, look at, I got it.
Screen share, my favorite.
I'll have to check that out. So the name of the game was the Illuminati card game?
Yep.
Those look like Pokemon cards.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Same
look,
concept.
there's Saddam Hussein, there's Hillary Clinton, there's Bill Clinton.
Jihad, Wall Street.
Oh, look, there's the towers.
Terrorist nuke, but it looks like the Twin Towers. Conspiracy theorists. And this is from what? This is from 1991.
Hold on, I don't know how to do this yet. Give me a second here.
1982 by occultist Steve Jackson.
1995.
I have it as 1982.
Okay.
Wow.
With 110 cards.
In 1982. Wow. That's 40 years ago.
And it was not only that, it was inspired by a book from 1975 called the Illuminatus trilogy.
Right, and the game itself is called The Game of Conspiracy.
Here.
By Robert Anton Wilson was the book.
Now, going back to what we were talking about though, while we're showing this, and that one comment where we thought Bill Gates was doing good, but really being evil. The thing is, like, I don't want to put Elon. I don't trust him. I appreciate his honesty and his ideas and some of the things he's done, and I'm interested by what he's doing. As DJ said, very intrigued by what he's doing because of where he's at and his capabilities. But credit where credit is due. He could have quit a long time ago. Anyway, I don't know that I can think of anyone with as much influential power or progress for things with sustainability in mind as him, though.
Absolutely fair, 100%. I'm not discrediting, or saying that the work that he's done hasn't done good. I'm just saying I think he's a part of that group, and that I just think he's the little puppet to placate the people. Like, we'll give them electric cars and make them think that they're doing good,
Right, watch this hand while this thing does something else, right?
Exactly.
If that was the case, I don't think, particularly pertaining to SpaceX and the Texas facility,
that's even going based on that. Space is what they're fucking telling us that
I'm not even talking about space itself, just the company SpaceX. When he was testing his mega heavy launch, where his launch site is at in Texas, he has a restriction of how many launches per year he can do. And he said, no, I need more testing. Fuck that. Fuck you. And did his thing and just paid all the fines, went down to second richest man in the world for a minute because of the millions upon millions of dollars he had paying fines to our government, whose side he's supposed to be on, plus restored all the local community, built a brand new highway out of concrete instead of asphalt there because the asphalt was being affected by the heat from the launches, made a 200,000 acre nature reserve there instead of the 20-acre park.
Absolutely, 100%.
Didn't have to do that.
Right.
And here's what I say. I don't want to cut you off, Dirty Dan, but it's like I look at their story, and if it's inspirational, like to me, a lot of people tell me Walt Disney was an evil man, and I work for the company. I've idolized him my whole life. I've looked into it. I can see both sides. Was he or was he not? I don't know. But I choose to believe that he wasn't because I'm inspired by the story of what he did.
Right.
Same with Henry Ford and this book. A lot of people say that Henry Ford was a Nazi sympathizer, and exactly what you're saying about Elon Musk. He's not really a genius. Henry Ford actually had to fight a court case where they said he's not a genius. And they actually asked him simple historical facts. And he basically said, look, I can pick up the phone and call any number of experts that I can pay to find the answers to any question you ask me. My job isn't to know everything. It's to know the people who know the things that I need and to pay them to get that information.
Right.
And so my point is, I'm inspired by their life to be a better person myself because we humans, we imitate those we see. And I like these stories because they give me something to base a better future for my life on. And that's the only reason why I feel I'm capable of handling like the things that I'm tackling is because these people have gone before me and done it. And they've left, footsteps that I can follow in. And when I try them out and see if it's true, so far, Elon Musk, Walt Disney, and Henry Ford, the steps that I follow in with them, it's true. It works. If you take that step, that leap of faith, you're going to move humanity forward potentially. The only question is, will we be silenced like the guy who invented the water car? Will we be taken out before we actually have a lasting impact? And these people like Elon Musk, maybe they're not because they are part of the wrong crowd. But I say, let's forget about that. I don't care. When that comes out, then we can flush them down the toilet. But for now, I'm hugely inspired and motivated to be a better person and to make a difference because of his story.
Well, and I think Elon is safe from having that same instance as the water car, which is what I wanted to say earlier, is that, he was smart enough to get wrapped up in just enough stuff that caught the attention from the right people. And it was publicly known then because the first words out of NASA's mouth when SpaceX came about is that we are working with them to gain access back into space. So, okay, he already had Tesla out and it was on the uprising there doing SpaceX and he just suddenly died. That's too fishy. That's very true. Yeah. So at that point, it's more of a mess for them than anything to benefit of stealing said technology.
DJ, we just had a fan of the show text the show phone. He asked, can you give the title and author of the book that you're talking about there?
This is The Green Vision by Henry Ford and George Washington. The Green Vision of Henry Ford and George Washington Carver by Quentin R. Skrabeck Jr. So
thank you very much.
Isn't that the guy who gave us peanut butter?
Yes. Yeah, peanut butter.
Dude, not only that's one of my favorite stories in the world. Not only is that the dude that invented peanut butter, but the story of how he discovered peanut butter. And he woke up from a dream and was called out to the forest in his fucking backyard, and apparently some little light creature told him about making fucking peanut butter. Okay.
DJ, I know you may be on a time crunch this morning. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Carbon Capture Shield and your progress that you made that you were going to talk about? At the beginning of the show, you said you'd talk about it later. Now here's your chance to talk about that and tell our audience where they can find out more information about that.
Yeah, for sure. And just to what Auron was saying, I don't know the details, but I definitely can testify to the fact that when you work in harmony with the planet and with life, I guess, for lack of a better term, because we live in an entropic universe. Everything is slowly decaying towards chaos and disorder. But life seems to be this one force that organizes and creates order out of the chaos. And so when you start working in harmony with life, amazing coincidences happen. And that's what I found. So in January, Carbon Capture Shield, we originally founded our company April 22nd, 2021, Earth Day. And our goal was to go after the X Prize, because Elon Musk said he was giving $100 million towards carbon capture and removal. And my biggest fear is that the carbon capture and removal goes towards this capturing carbon and then converting it to liquid and pumping it, 3,000 meters, 3 kilometers below the surface of the earth, as if it's some kind of toxic chemical that we have to get rid of. Carbon is what we're all made of. We are all carbon-based life. And the carbon cycle is what we have disrupted and why we see so much CO2 in the atmosphere. And there are worryingly high historic levels of CO2 in the atmosphere that are causing a greenhouse effect. It is affecting our weather in ways that we don't fully understand. And so what I wanted to do was harness all of that momentum that they've spent billions of dollars in decades getting people worried about the climate crisis and about CO2 in the atmosphere. And I wanted to harness that and take it towards actual solutions. And so that's why we found a carbon capture shield to do that. Unfortunately, the board that I formed voted not to enter the X Prize. And it wasn't until around November of 2021 that one of my investors came to me privately and just said, look, I want to enter it anyway, so let's do it through my company. That caused a whole row where basically the board fractured and half the board left and half of our investors pulled out their investment because we decided to go forward. But it felt like the right thing to do, so I kept moving forward. And then in January, basically, it was like the stars aligned, and suddenly some of the top experts from around the planet reached out to me. I didn't even have to reach out to them. They came to me and wanted to be involved in our project. And by the end, February 1st was the deadline. We brought together the most amazing project that I've ever been involved with in my life, where we've created a business model that is like a franchise system where we can set up a profitable carbon farming operation. So what we're doing, our project is we plan to go into Kenya, and I've been working with a smallholder local farmer from Kenya since 2017, trying to help him grow hemp. He's the first farmer in history. He's been lobbying the government for 5 years, finally got permission to grow hemp legally in Kenya. But he doesn't have a market to sell it to. He doesn't know how to process it. He doesn't know what to do with it. The great thing is hemp sequesters a heck of a lot of CO2 out of the atmosphere and puts it into the soil, which is actually where it belongs. I'll get into that in a second. But hemp also is known, they used it to basically phytoremediate the Chernobyl disaster site because it will suck up heavy metals and toxins in the soil.
It's everything bad.
And it will neutralize it, and it fertilizes the soil. It's got a deep taproot that will go down and break up compacted soils. And so what we've designed is a way to go in and buy about 100 hectares, which is about 247 acres, and convert it into what we call a regenerative agri-solar farm. And we've even got the costing down to where the whole project will cost an initial investment of about $280,000. And already by year 3, we've repaid that entire investment, plus about $14,000 in profit. And every year after that, it'll make about $84,000 in profit, 100% coming from the solar energy we generate and the carbon credits that we sell. Now, everyone, especially on the right, is like terrified of these carbon credits. They think it's organized theft. And I don't disagree, but it comes back to we can actually use the system for good. So what we've designed, Microsoft, Wall Street banks, all these big tech and financial institutional companies have agreed to the climate accords where they've agreed to go carbon negative by 2030. And they've agreed to invest in these carbon capture and offset. They're thinking they're going to invest in these pipelines that inject carbon into the ground, but I've designed a system that's basically an offer that they can't say no to. I made them an offer they can't refuse by saying, why don't you pay farmers in the developing world to remediate the desert? We will find a way to measure and quantify the carbon that their plants put into the ground, because the best machine on earth to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere and pump it into the ground is a plant. It does it using sunlight as energy. That's the only energy source it needs. And it uses only carbon dioxide and water, and that's it. And it gives you oxygen and hydroxyl ions as waste, crops, and then the carbon in the soil, which actually revitalizes the soil. And for desert regions, for every 1% increase in the soil carbon content, it can hold 27,000 gallons of water more per acre, up to 30 inches depth. So we're talking water infiltration and storage for desert regions, which will mitigate floods and mitigate droughts. And the carbon is also home to all kinds of beneficial organisms that protect the plants, fight off disease, and fertilize the plants. So you don't have to put phosphorus, you don't have to put any inputs onto this land anymore. And so basically for $280,000, we can take 100 hectares of land in Kenya that's worthless, regenerate it within 5 years. It will actually be productive farmland. All of that money, $84,000 per year, that's minus all the operational costs, that's profit, is 100% from selling carbon credits to Microsoft and Morgan Stanley and all these companies that want to pat themselves in the back to say, look, we're green. Now we're taking that money, putting it in the pockets of farmers. We're giving that money to our investors. The locals get to keep 100% of the crops. Whatever they grow, they get to keep. And what they want to do with hemp is right now, I think it's 95% of homes in the Nyeri region of Kenya burn wood for lighting and for fuel. And instead of burning their trees, we want them to burn hemp, which grows in 3 months. You can have 3 crops a year, and it's sustainable, it's regenerative. So it's restoring the soil while they're growing the fuel to power their homes, while it's restoring the vitality of the soil so they can grow food next year if they want to. And we're also selling the carbon that is sequestered, so we're earning even more money to pay for the whole operation. And then based on the contract that we enter, we will then hand that land back over to the locals. And what we're trying to do is incubate local economies that are based on the farm. And the idea came from this. It's what these two men were working on, back before they were silenced. And it's basically creating a local farm-based economy where everything, basically the soil is the foundation for the economy of life. And we're just putting the value back there to where we're saying we're basing it on the soil. We're building an entire local economy based on the soil that can export products globally. And we're solving that problem too, because right now African farmers or farmers in Albania or anywhere that's in the developing world, they can't sell their crops into America or to the EU, not just because it's more expensive, but because the World Trade Organization says you didn't buy our seeds, so we're not going to buy your crop, right? So they've already got seed monopolies. So it's not just an economic thing, but now they can sell their carbon offsets no matter where. So their land, they can still sell now into wherever. We've broken that. We've got the financial models to prove it. We've even done the engineering to show how it all works. Like I literally had to go and calculate like how much sunlight per square meter of grass would require, how much water it will require, and how much CO2 that will sequester, and how much carbon, glucose, basically carbon sugars it will produce, and then how much oxygen it will expel as a result of that. Like we had to do all these numbers with engineering teams, which I'm super proud of. But now that we've got it, it's basically is an offer that they can't refuse. So we're trying to go in there and cut them off at the pass. So they built this whole momentum for the last 20 years, getting everyone worried about a climate crisis. And we're coming in with an actual solution. And the solution is just farming regeneratively. It's getting rid of all of these fertilizers that they're jacking the price up now, getting rid of all of these herbicides and pesticides that, again, they're trying to bankrupt farmers by driving up the price. We're just saying you don't need any of it. Within 1 year, we can come in. And what we do is we gather up compost from you want local things because it's got the local fungi and bacteria that are supposed to be in the soil.
The local biosphere.
Correct. And we let it sit, we let it age for 18 months. And that's key because it takes 18 months for all of these species of fungi and bacteria to finally take root that normally are killed by the herbicides and the pesticides and the fungicides and all that we spray on our cropland. And over 18 months, they digest all of whatever it is. You can put in wood chips, grass clippings, leaves, dead leaves, anything. And over 18 months, it turns into like this clay that you can then liquefy and spray on farmland, or you can put it in a cement mixer with a bunch of seeds and coat the seeds before you plant it. So as the plants grow, they have all of these fungal spores and bacteria cysts that are ready to sprout and come to life when the conditions are right. And that in itself is going to restore the soil in addition to the plant life. So that's sort of the path that we're taking. So, and this is also why, if you just stop tilling the ground and stop spraying with chemicals, it's going to take about a decade for it to come back. But we found we can do that within one growing season. And the corollary, an example of this in human form, if you know about irritable bowel syndrome or C. difficile infections with your lower intestines, where people die from this because you get an infection in your lower intestines, they don't know how to treat it. It's antibacterial resistant. What they do, it's called a fecal matter transplant. It's kind of gross, but they take poop from a healthy person and they inject it into the colon of an unhealthy person, within 24 hours, they can be cured 100%. And the same is true of the earth. If you take healthy biological, fungal, and bacterial life and inject it into the soil where it's been killed, within one growing season, you've restored the entire natural balance. So as long as you take care of that land, and that's also what we're working on, is how do you ensure long-term stewardship? We've got a solution for that. I can't talk about it just yet because there are people who want to stop us, and if they know how we're doing it, they'll be able to stop us.
Right.
We've got a way to ensure long-term stewardship to where it's more value to the landowners to treat it right than it is to abuse it. Because if you do inject it with the chemicals, you will get one or two great crops that, nature can't compete with injecting artificial fertilizers and that into the ground, but you kill the natural balance. And so long-term, you might get one or two or maybe three buffer crops, but after that, you're going to see what we're seeing, a slow deterioration of the soils. So that's why I'm so excited, because we've, the X Prize they asked all the right questions, and they even gave us the tools to help prove from an engineering perspective that our solution works. And like I said, the team just came to us. Like, we just started doing the work, and the right people found us at the right time. And I'm talking like world leading experts who've been in this industry for more than 40 years, working tirelessly. Like, their track record is unquestionable. And I've been trying to reach out to these same people since at least 2019, 2020, and getting nothing. But once we had all this momentum of Carbon Capture Shield and we were working on the X Prize project, and when they looked at the work we were already doing, they joined forces, and I really feel we've got an unstoppable momentum now. So we can basically go in, and that's why I want to talk to DirtyDan and others. Like, if you've got a piece of property of about 10 acres or more, we can do the costing. I did a costing for a farm in California that's organic, and for 35 acres, they own it because we don't have the cost of ownership, and this doesn't count solar, because the solar system for about 50 kilowatts is around $85,000 US all up to be installed, and then that's end of life decommissioning. But just the land to turn it into regenerative, to bring in the experts to test the soil, to verify, because that's the biggest thing, you have to verify that the carbon has been sequestered in the ground in a durable form. To do all that is going to be about $14,000 for 35 acres. And that will then earn the landowner, just in the carbon credits, about $8,000 or $9,000 per year, which is pretty amazing. That's even a low estimate for the amount of carbon that can be sequestered by the plant life. And we're also working with experts who can teach the landowner then how to work with the soil to maximize that. So you can actually get up to about 10 tons per acre, which means I can do the calculations here if you have a second.
Yes, please go ahead. And first, congratulations on all the success and people coming together. And if this goes forward, if you have farms that used to be desert land, in the next 10 years, food would be so cheap that you could single-handedly end world hunger.
Not just cheap, but good.
Yeah,
yes.
And
nutritious.
Right. And I think that's the whole thing. Like, that's what we're trying to do. That's the reason we're here having this conversation right now. And the people that are joining forces and coming together is because it's not just about the cost of food. It's about the fact that we're going to completely pull away from all of that fuckery of poisoning our food, of genetically modifying shit, of making all these fluff products that look great, but they don't do shit for you, right? And we're going to go back, almost regress a little bit, as far as, we're going to pull away from the frozen foods. We're going to pull away, like, I don't even have a microwave in my house anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to pull away from all that. We're going to get back into farming. We're going to get back into bartering.
There you go.
Say it.
Bartering
and trading. We're gonna. My teeth are out of order. We're gonna get back into all of those things and the way that we're supposed to live, and away from this corporate 9-to-5 bullshit.
Excuse me while I work at a corporate 9-to-5 bullshit.
No, and that's awesome.
I also love if the main crop is going to be in, industrial hemp, that leads us to
so many opportunities.
Well, it's the reality of it is people don't understand that the utilization of hemp will completely destroy the synthetic fabric market, right? So we won't have to worry about wearing clothes that are made of fucking plastic and polyester. And then on top of that, anything that we can do with, and this is because I've been on the hemp train my whole fucking life. Anything that people don't know, we don't pull oil out of the ground to make fuel. We pull oil out of the ground to make fucking plastic, and fuel is a byproduct of that process, right? So anything that we can do with petroleum, you can do with fucking hemp seed oil. You can make fucking indestructible plastic like Henry Ford did. You can make any sort of petroleum-based product, and then guess what? It's not made of plastic, and it's not going to fucking kill you, right? And then you add in the rope and the cloth, and then I love that you were talking about, over in Kenya about how you wanted to be burning the hemp for fuel. I mean, I live in New England, right? We have some of the worst winters in the country here. And if we could convert, small areas of already unused, or like I live in an area that was polluted by GE for decades, right? We have whole swaths of our city that we can't fucking use. But if we turn that space into hemp field and then provided that as an alternative wood source for people who are heating their homes, I mean, we could single-handedly deregulate the fuel industry in our country.
Definitely.
Rebecca, there was a comment somebody made there about
I got
are we able to watch this or listen to this live again? Yes.
Yeah, I was typing back, but we can address it. Yeah, this will be on my Twitch. As soon as we end it here, it will drop. I think it stays for 30 days because it's not 14. It's longer than 14.
No, we're affiliates. They stay forever until we delete them.
And it will also be on the Here To Chew Bubblegum YouTube page.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it'll be on the YouTube page, and then it'll also be on Spotify and Pandora at 4.
Yes. DJ, going back to your figures that you figured out, let's turn it back over to you, Hubert.
Okay, I just want to hear what DirtyDan had to say first, though.
So I'm going to be a little special here, and DJ sent me his actual plan, his presentation plan, and I got to look at the models, and my God, it's insane, and it's so cool to see because I understood it's got such a lower cost with a higher yield back for sustainability because he's making a generation station using earth and natural processes, like relying on photosynthesis, which is what plants do the moment they're in the ground and growing. He's using natural processes as a generator. And then you look at, like Auron said, that unusable space because of GE, unless you were to turn it into this. Think about the millions upon, or nuclear power, billions of dollars that chunk of land is used and not be able to use for anything, plus all the upkeep and the cost of fuel and everything. And you're not really making money. You're working a chip of that debt off. And what good are you really doing besides mining very volatile substances from the earth and creating them to be even more evil? Whereas we are taking nature and saying, I'm sorry, I want to help, and letting it do its thing.
Well, we're getting back to the basics. We're getting back to the natural processes of things, and like Alan Watts speaks about it, is the moment that we confuse science for nature, we destroy nature, and we're reversing that, right? We're going back to, okay, nature cures, nature heats, nature fixes, right? Like we're getting back in touch with Gaia and working with her instead of destroying her for our personal gain as a society. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and everything increases. Like we're seeing yield increases from 300 to 500%. That means the same patch of land gives back 3 to 5 times more produce than what they're seeing with their synthetic fertilizers and tilling and all that. And what you're saying about the taste of the food is even better, and the nutrient density. So there's a farmer, he runs a company called Chef's Table, and his produce has actually been deemed by doctors as a nutritional supplement because it's so nutrient dense. Because what happens, traditional farmers, they've sterilized the ground with tilling it, which destroys all the fungal life. And when's the last time you dug into the ground and saw an earthworm? Like they're gone, and that's why we're seeing all these forest fires. I won't go down that road, but
you and I can have another time because I have a theory on worms too.
Well, but what's supposed to happen is that the soil, the living life in the soil is supposed to go out and find the nutrients that the plants need. It's a relationship. But what synthetic farmers do is they say, okay, plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, and a few other things. NPK is what they do. So they put the exact amounts the plant needs in there. So you get a crop, but it doesn't have the nutrients that it's supposed to. Whereas when you have living soil, the plant literally communicates via its roots. So what they produce is sugar, and sugar is candy. It's like a treat for all the life in the soil. And the plant will actually say, we need phosphorus, or we need this nutrient. And the fungi and the bacteria can literally go in and find it. Like, fungi has been known to extend 3 football fields and pump water uphill to trees or plants that it was getting sugar from. And they can go and find, they can dissolve solid rock to get whatever nutrients the plant says it needs, and then channel that back to the plants. Because plants can do photosynthesis, but they can't dissolve solid rock and they can't grow beyond their roots. Whereas fungi, they can't photosynthesize. The root symbiont fungi that you have for plants, they can't produce photosynthesis. So they're what's called root obligate symbionts, where they cannot exist without the plant. And so humans come along and we think we're going to fix it. We spend thousands of dollars per acre to spray it with poisons to kill it, and then we spend another $1,000 per acre to then re-inject it with artificial fertilizers, all of which, the poisons and the fertilizer, are all made from oil, petroleum. So none of it is natural, none of it is real. When you restore that balance, then it literally takes care of itself, and that's why it's so beneficial. If I can share my screen real quick.
Yes, please.
It shouldn't say contents flammable if you're putting it into the ground.
Right, for real.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen or not.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, dandelions, my favorite.
So dandelions found in oil sands tailings could help clean them up. So this is research that I came across that really changed my mind. So when you have these tar sands and then they harvest the tar sand out of it, what they leave behind is just dead sand that they know for decades is going to be completely dead. But what they found was every now and then a dandelion would spring up in this dead soil. And so they took it back to the lab and they analyzed what was going on. And what it was they found that there was a fungus that was literally growing and insulating, protecting the plant roots from the oil, which would kill it. It was not only doing that, it was also venturing out and finding water safely and bringing that back to the plant. But more importantly, because there was nothing in the sand, it was digesting the oil. It was digesting the petroleum and feeding that to the plant as nutrients. So now the plant had everything it needs. It's got CO2 and sunlight and some water from the air. Now it's getting everything else it needs by this fungi, beneficial fungi, digesting pollutants in the soil and feeding it to the plant as nutrients. So all this land that you're talking about, Auron, that's been polluted, we could easily phytoremediate it with hemp, which they're doing it in Slovakia and the Czech Republic, and that's what they did for the Chernobyl disaster. They remediate uranium mines using hemp. But for some reason, this information doesn't get through to the general public. They think hemp, cannabis, evil, all of this. So
I think that there's a whole nother layer to that, because I fully support nuclear technology and nuclear power generation, but I think that there's a contrived a market dealing with the nuclear waste. We could very easily be diluting and distributing the nuclear waste into already unused or damaged land areas, and then intentionally photoremediating that radiation with hemp, again creating, that's the best part about hemp, is that you get all of the byproducts that the plant makes from intentionally remediating. One of the big poisons that we had around here was PCBs, right? It's in our deep soil, it's in our lakes, it's in all that shit, right? And hemp remediates that shit within a couple of years. Something like some depending on the concentration, it can remediate within 18 months, and the plant's completely usable. So it's we could symbiotically create, because everybody's like, oh, nuclear is bad. It's we could symbiotically create and expand and advance our nuclear capabilities and our nuclear power technologies in a matter of a couple of years just by integrating with nature.
But the problem with that is that in 95% of the eyes out there, that is regression, because you're going back to an older way of relying on nature rather than being industrialized and doing modern solutions like stuffing it into a fucking pressurized metal container and sticking it in the mountain.
I think we use the word I was just going to say, I think I would use the word, I hate the word because the way the left has poisoned it, but I think these kind of conversations, this is what progressivism is. This is what, in my opinion, it's progression. It's not, because there's nothing that's going back. We're not going in a negative direction. We're evolving into something new by combining two things that were not previously combined before.
Well, and nuclear is a good example, because the problems of the nuclear energy industry are intentional, because first of all, we use uranium, because depleted uranium is then weapons grade. The byproduct is weapons grade uranium, and then also the stuff that we have to bury at sea or whatever. But also, so thorium is the right choice for that, because every nation on Earth has enough thorium just on the surface that they could collect and use to generate that energy. And then you use a liquid salt reactor, because then if it loses power, and then the salt will solidify, it won't leak out into the ocean like what we're seeing in Fukushima. Yeah, right. So it totally insulates itself. So that's another story. But I agree, the hemp is the solution to a lot of these problems, because even if it is something that you can't utilize the hemp crop for food, like maybe the seeds aren't good for eating, you can still use the fibers for everything from like bulletproof vests or armor on tanks, because the hemp fiber is the strongest natural fiber. It's unbelievably strong. You also have hempcrete, which you can mix it with just activated lime, and then it becomes, again, carbon negative, because it still sucks CO2
out of the ground forever, and it'll get harder every year. Dude, hempcrete is one of my favorite fucking things on the planet. It's also fireproof. It's also soundproof. It's also bacteria proof. It's amazing.
Antimicrobial, antibacterial, everything. So it's like, the hemp plant really offers so many solutions, which is why I'm so excited that we can use it in Kenya. But we have a culture problem, because all of these big corporations are the main corporate sponsors of the media. Most of the public has been misinformed our entire lives, and we're all guilty of it too, because it's like we instinctively react. When we hear something, we react based on how the media has conditioned us to react, whether it's against hemp, whether it's against Trump, whether it's against, anti-vaxxers, whatever. We've been conditioned. And so we have a culture problem there. And that's something that's going to take time to redo. But in the meantime, I think that, conversations like this are so important, because we can come together around real solutions and show how, let me share my screen again real quick, because this is what I'm excited about here. Can you see this spreadsheet?
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. So this is for the California farm. So basically, we know how many tons we're going to sequester per year, and we've got all the costs worked out here. We basically taken away the cost of the land, because the farmer owns the land. We've got the labor for site preparation, both high income and low income. We got all the engineering here. We got all the ongoing operational costs. Like, it's all worked out here. And the basic numbers are here. So the first year, you need to invest this much money. Year one, the same year you make that investment, you're going to earn back this much. And by year three, you're going to earn back this entire investment plus this much profit. Then every year after that, you're going to be earning pretty much this much profit. I've got it on this sheet here. So actually, that's the amount of profit per year, is $3,076 per year once you pay back all investment by year three. So here, year four onward, you're going to be earning that much every year. You've got these operating costs, and then this much profit, and then this per year. And this is assuming, again, that you're only able to earn $50 per ton of CO2, but here the HLCCP has already predicted that by 2030, it's going to go up to $100 per ton. But here's what's really exciting is I've been really, cautious on this. So I'm only estimating that each acre is going to be able to sequester 6 tons of CO2, but I know that hemp can sequester up to 20 tons. But let's just say 10. So 10 tons per acre on 35 acres is 350 tons, right? Boom, all of a sudden our cost per ton goes down, but look at our investment here. Year one, we're already earning more than our initial investment. So if we're able to optimize the amount of CO2 that the plants are able to sequester and put into the soil, and they do this, they don't just do this for the fun of it. They do it because they're feeding the life in the soil that they know that they're going to rely on. So to the plants, that they're investing in the soil, and we can capitalize on that. And so for a $13,300 investment, we could be earning $16,600 every year. And then let's look at these costs.
And that's not including the profits from the crops.
Correct.
Because if you're harvesting 35 acres of industrial hemp 2 or 3 times a year, guess what? You now get to add the profit from whatever you do with that. And
yeah,
even
that was specifically carbon credit related.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. Because even somebody who's like for someone like me, I would probably only use the hemp for building and for fuel. But it's like now I've completely eliminated my fuel costs for the entire year forever. You know?
Yeah. And that's why it's so exciting. So with these calculations of those profits, that means the farmer themselves gets to keep 100% of the crops. So that's what's so exciting about it, is we're really helping farmers, and we're using the money of Wall Street and big tech to do it because they've all agreed to these climate goals. So we've got them by the balls now. So we created this model to help make sure that we direct those funds to the right place and not building these Frankenstein, carbon pipelines that they're already like bulldozing cropland to put in a pipeline for carbon that they're going to pump underground. It's like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, it hurts.
Well, DJ, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for DJ before we end this segment? And I do want to say I'm sorry. I know we've kept you over an hour, DJ. Thank you very much for coming on, and we look forward to having you back on in the future.
No, thank you so much for the time. It's great, and I'm honored to share the news first time publicly with you guys. So
yeah, amazing.
And that model was killer.
Yes.
And I want to get you guys signed up too. So we'll have to talk after the show about getting you set up on your farm. So
we can.
Go ahead.
Maybe this week we can figure out a time to have a little call.
We need to figure out where Rebecca's pastures are going first before we do anything else. The animals are top priority.
You can build permanent fencing with hemp.
Yeah, but I need the horse here now. Like I understand what you're saying. Yes, in the future we'll replace all of the boards with that, but we need to. There's a process.
Well, actually, livestock are a big part of it because controlled grazing is how the grasslands built the fertile soils of the Midwest of the United States over centuries, and we can do it in years. So literally, you want to use controlled grazing. So you have livestock come in. Instead of running a tractor over to just cut it up,
Well, you do pasture rotation. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
That as well. Correct. Yeah. So all of this. Yeah, we'll talk. But the way our model works is we bring in other experts because I'm not an expert on everything. I know enough to put the pieces together. But then I hire local experts. Then we also support local economies. So local soil scientists to come to your farm, look at the property, also look at the hydrology. I was telling you about this book because even in the Kenya deserts, the amount of rain that falls in a year is more than enough for any farm to use. You just have to know how to harvest it. You need to know how to plan for it and to build, swales and little gullies to slow the water down. Like all of this, it's known. It's just a matter of putting together a system to where we can then educate people affordably, bring together the right people on the property, figure out a plan of action for this property, and then put it into practice. So no, I'm very excited. So
again, thank you very much, DJ. Thank you very much. DirtyDan, Rebecca, do you have anything to say before we end this and take a break?
We're taking a break?
Yeah. We need to take a break.
Oh, okay. No, I thought we were ending. I didn't know we were taking a break and coming back. I'll save mine.
Okay. Well, when we come back from after the break, we're going to talk about the People's Convoy. So be sure to stick around. That will be myself, Rebecca, DirtyDan, and Auron. DJ, again, thank you very much. And I'm sorry that we went over an hour, but thank you very much. You have a great day. Please keep doing what you're doing to make the world a better place. And thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. And you guys too, because what you guys are doing is extremely important. And also all the audience, this is the kind of conversations that we need to be having, and we need to be sharing this information. This is the Great Awakening. We're not woke, we're awake.
Absolutely.
Exactly. We are the awakening. 100%.
We will be back in just a moment. Okay, I've hit the stop on our end. Thank you very much.
Hold on a second. Do you want me to end, or do you want me to just push everyone backstage?
You can just put us backstage.
Okay, I'll put a thing up, and then we'll take a break and then come back as soon as I figure out how the fuck to do that. So many buttons.
All the buttons.
All right.
And someone else about my Telegram. Maybe you could flash that on stage.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I will. I'll post it, and then Goose can put it in the links as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Send it to you.
Well, I gotta let my wife cook dinner.
We got you. We'll make it clickable. We'll make it clickable.
Okay, all right, awesome. But I'm gonna tune in and just listen into the rest of the show. But thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, DJ.
All right, we are going to take a break. So I'm just gonna throw you guys backstage, and then we'll go like 10 minutes, and then we'll be back.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
And welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum, episode 67, Flying by the Seat of Our Pants. I am Goose. The queen of the flock, Rebecca Short, is here, and Auron, a.k.a. Wicked Wolf. Welcome
DirtyDan will be joining us momentarily. He is trading off Tiny Psycho duty.
Oh,
Hey, Tiny Psycho.
we had a great first segment. We had a lot of comments on people commenting about it. Thank you very much. DJ Nicke, a smart guy. Always love to have him on the show. And he's doing great things with Carbon Capture Shield. I look forward to having him on again and hearing more about Carbon Capture Shield and seeing where they are in the future.
I am super excited to have a sidebar with him and really start utilizing this property that we just got too. I know we kind of bought it in a weird time, like and then it snows one day and it's 65 degrees the next. We're like, do we plant? Do we build? Like, do we do nothing? Like, what are we doing?
One of the things that I was going to ask him, but I know that he was on a time crunch and he had, an investor and so forth to take care of. The fun guy he was talking about, when we have these oil spills, it would be amazing if we could take all of this and just put it where these oil spills are at, where we've damaged our planet and it soak up all this stuff.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's interesting that people don't really understand the capabilities and the power of mushroom and mycelium technology. Like I remember years ago, there were people that were utilizing certain mushroom breeds they would compact trash into the shape of what they wanted to grow, and then they would put mushroom spores in there, and the mushroom would eat all of the garbage, and the mycelium that was left when it was done, I mean, they were making like interior panels for cars. They were doing like all sorts of like crazy insane things. And when he was talking about the possibility of what we can do with hemp, right? Hemp fiber is the strongest fiber in the world. I urge everybody out there to go look up the video of Henry Ford's hemp car, because we like right now in today's technology, we use a lot of fiberglass, right? Which is petroleum-based plastic filled with plastic fibers. Well, Henry Ford did the same thing. Fiberglass is actually modeled after what he did with hemp. He took the hemp seed oil-based polymer, and he put raw hemp fibers into it, and he's sitting there with a baseball bat and he's bashing the side of this car, and it's not even denting it at all. It's like all of the garbage materials that we build with, we could replace with hemp and create permanent new things. And then the idea of planned obsolescence, which is the only reason we have pollutants in our environment, would be completely eliminated within half of a generation.
Big things to come, big things to look forward to. There are good people in the world, and I realized that the first time DJ Nicke was on the show. Rebecca, the People's Convoy, tell us a little bit about that.
So the People's Convoy, is going off of what Canada is doing and bringing it to the States, right? And it is about freedom. It is about lifting the mandates. It's about standing for our rights that we have always had and always been fucking entitled to. There has been some confusion and some false flags around this, and I just want to officially come on and state what I know. I have been in direct communication with one of the leads for Kentucky and Ohio. And basically, like, I know that there's been some Telegram chats floating around. There's been some other groups floating around, and they're fake. Nothing has been divided up into states. The only true link is the Getter link, and I will post that. And Goose, I'll send it to you as well. And
Okay,
it's
thank you.
Convoy on Getter. So there have been no routes mapped out yet. There have been no stops posted. So anything that you're seeing is not correct. They have also announced that there is no affiliation whatsoever or plan to do anything with the Super Bowl. Nothing whatsoever. So anything that you hear about truckers going to try and like stop the Super Bowl, like that's not a thing either. So
Go Sports.
I'm sorry.
I said go Sports. I'm not into Super Bowl and all that
I mean,
stuff.
we can talk about the Super Bowl in a minute because I have a whole slew of shit to talk about with the Super Bowl.
I had rather talk about removing hairs from my nostrils in the Super Bowl because
same.
And then there is also, so what DirtyDan and I are doing, representing the flock, is we are loading up our trucks, with as much supplies as we can. Anybody that donates through the link in my Buy Me a Coffee for the convoy, I am going to be writing your name on my truck so that you can travel with me in spirit. Frank the Flamingo will be coming with me if I can get him away from the gusts of my tiny psycho. And we are bringing as many supplies and fuel and everything as we can to one of the checkpoints for the truckers. We can't go super far, but that's what we want to do. And then DirtyDan is also offering his services as an experienced diesel mechanic to fix any trucks at the stops that need something. Or, if we get a heads up, hey, we can bring a part. Or if there's, civilians that are traveling along too with the truckers. Yeah, for free. Like, he's not charging for his services. Anybody, that breaks down along the way, throw a tire or whatever, we're going to stop and help and get them back up and going. So that is what DirtyDan and I are doing with the flock, with all of you. So if you guys are interested in donating to the truckers for this movement, to be a part of history, to have your name on something, to say, hey, like I helped with this, we're taking a stand. We are the awakening. We are making fucking changes. So I'm very excited about it. I'm very passionate about it. And it is happening. So probably like the first week of March-ish. So we have some time to collect things and get all of our ducks in a row.
And the world needs more people like Rebecca and DirtyDan in it as well. Auron, we're going to close things out. Is there anything you want to tell our listeners about and plug?
Let's see. So I just started a new TikTok account. My main Wicked Wolf account is on a ban until Valentine's Day. Yay. But I started a new TikTok account. It's called Source Code Healing, all one word. I also have the same name on Instagram. I'm officially launching my private coaching business. I'm working with men, helping them get through anger and other emotional issues. I've actually been building my counseling business for the past 8 months, and I'm finally at a point where I'm going to be launching my initial flagship program. So feel free to check those out. All sorts of fun spiritual stuff, doing personal deep shadow work with meditation and a few other modalities that I've been developing over the years. And other than that, just I urge everybody to take the time and do some personal investigation into all the stuff that we talked about in the show. The information is out there, and once you have a real understanding of what we're capable of and more people are aware of it, I think we will reach the end result that we all see and that we're all working towards a lot faster and a lot more efficiently.
Rebecca, when we end the show, please email Auron my cell phone number, and please text me because I would like to schedule a counseling session with you.
Yeah,
I will do that for you too. But ouch, don't bite me. I just want to say as an add-on to your plug here, Auron and I work very closely, privately, one-on-one, as we have been for a while. And I will say that it is like, if you're looking to schedule, if you're looking for someone to help you through this, like, I recommend.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, DirtyDan. I just got your text, and we do have the one and only Mr. DJ Nicke just signed up.
Right here, there he is.
Yes.
There we go. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much, DJ. And during the break, I did send DJ a text, and I thanked him, and we would definitely have him back on the show again. And I always enjoy having DJ on the show. I want to remind everyone to be sure to check out Bitching with Bertha. You can find that on TikTok. Cooking with Dirty Dan. It always makes me hungry when I watch those videos, but I love watching those videos.
Oh, some of them are nasty.
No, they're all delicious. You bite your tongue.
Yes.
I love
Coming from the one
Dan.
doing fake chicken.
Dirty Dan can do a great thing with a big ass sausage.
Yes, I
Yeah, we made
Yeah. And I want everyone to be sure to check out our friend Shipwreck, and you can find her on YouTube with the Shipwreck Show. Dirty Dan, I'm turning it over to you as we close things out on this episode.
Well, while I'm still waiting for people to get back to me with apparently 3 to 5 sentences, which is a little much to ask, be sure to check out who we had on our show today, DJ Nicke, Carbon Capture Shield, long.carboncaptureshield.net or .com.
You usually say .com.
.com.
So.
Do you need me to pull up your cheat sheet?
No. And go check them out some more.
It doesn't even say
them.
it; just says Carbon Capture Shield.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Don't forget our friends over at Till Valhalla Project. I'm about to sneeze my ass off. Please hold on.
Oh, man. That was hilarious.
The message, spread the awareness, and don't forget to go check out YouTube Adventures with Purpose and adventureswithpurpose.com on their website. Show them some love.
So we also have Fed Up Gear. If you want to follow him, yes. Fed Up Gear. He is working on a collab with Here To Chew Bubblegum merch. I've seen it. It is clutch. But him and I have also teamed up, and we have Flocking Fed Up Gear as well. So he also has a ton of other Patriot gear and stuff for the convoy as well. So if you want to check him out, just click the clickables. It's all there.
Definitely. Again, I want to thank DJ Nicke for being on the show with CarbonCaptureShield.com and Auron, a.k.a. Wicked Wolf, for being on the show as well.
Hey, look at.
Oh, usually, and I will go ahead and give this plug right now. Usually when the end credits end, that is the end. Be sure to stick around today after the closing song for a very special Bowling with Bolin segment where he gives his Valentine's Day tips. And that is with Mr. Bowling Cox coming up in just a few moments.
Valentine's Day tips or
just
gifts?
the tip? Just the tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
How it feels.
Yes. I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work. Be sure to check out friends of our show that have their own shows. I'm talking about CK and Uncle Bill over at deadpit.com, Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins, Jordan and Brad of Down on the Holler, Seth Ambergy with Seth's Daily Podcast, Elliot Gertie and Beagle of SpookyFamilyPodcast.com, the Mountain Mysteries Podcast with Chris Sloan, and be sure to check out Cronkite, Snowman, and Large Marge over at ParanormalTrucker.com. And don't forget about the newest show that we are talking about, and I was on it Tuesday, Beyond the Paranormal Podcast with John Marshall, and you can catch that every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And as always, if you want to awaken more, be sure to check out the Queen, Rebecca Short, on TikTok and Twitch. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm just going home.
Block her out.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.